Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Machine Learning Tutorial. Today we are going to talk about Git and GitHub, which are actually very basic skills, but it's actually quite essential in a professional environment. So in this particular video we're going to talk only about the basics, and there will be a part 2 of the video where we would discuss more about the advanced features of Git and how they come into play when you are working in a team. So I know that this video is not exactly about machine learning, which the channel is mainly about, but I've been a GitHub expert for the last 1 year or so. So I thought I should make a video on that. So let's begin. The first thing that I would like to talk about is the GitHub Student Developer Pack. So if you are a student, you are in luck because GitHub has a Student Developer Pack which has a lot of benefits, but only if you are a student. So you can click on this link to get routed to the application for that particular program, and this is the page that you get routed to. So you can get your pack, click on this, and it would ask you to verify that you're a student, and the easiest way to do that is either through your university provided email or by uploading the picture of your student card. So some of the benefits included in this are, free credits on different sites like AWS Educate. You can get $100 for free. And if you basically avail all of these during your student career, during your student life, it added up to about $100,000 worth of free services that the developer pack can offer to you. So if you're a blockchain developer, a web developer, game developer, whatever you're interested in, if you are just trying things out, I think it's a really good opportunity for you to get this pack and use these tools for free for a certain time or get free credits from them. So let's go back to our tutorial. Let's see the video outline. We're going to first talk about what exactly Git and GitHub are, why you should use them, and how exactly are they going to come into play in your professional life in the future, or if you're a professional right now, how you can use that to work on a project more efficiently within your team. So let's start. Alright, so we'll be creating our first repository on GitHub. We'll be creating our first commit, pushing that to our remote repository. But before we get to that, let's see what exactly Git and GitHub are. So Git essentially is just a distributed version control system. It keeps track of the changes that you make in your project automatically. Well, not exactly automatically, you have to make commits, but it's pretty much automatic. The lines of code that you change in each file, all of that will be tracked. But we'll get more into that when we discuss what exactly repositories are. So let's see a few of the features that Git has. The first one is the history. So let's assume you start a project and there are multiple people working on that. Let's just assume it's a semester or term project, or it's an actual product that you're developing. In either case, there would most likely be multiple people working on that. So they would work on different modules, and whatever changes they make in any of the files, they would be tracked by Git. You can see the history, you can see who changed what and when they did that. And if you want to revert that, you can do that as well. That will be covered in the backup feature, which is it allows you to have the ability to create different versions of your code. So for instance, let's take the example of iOS. For instance, let's say Apple releases iOS 15 and they realize that they have made a mistake and they want to revert back to iOS 14. So do you think that they would have separate folders for each of the iOS versions? Not exactly, because that would be highly inefficient to keep folders of all the versions that they released in the past since they developed the iOS. So this is exactly where version control comes into play. So if they want to revert back to that, they would have that repository, for instance, where they can simply just go back to that state of the project, and all the changes they made after that, they can just revert those. And it can be selected. They can remove a specific feature, commit it to a specific feature, or the whole version itself. But essentially, it's a lot more optimized to just have changes being tracked automatically. And the next one, you'll see more about the backup part when we get to the next stage of the tutorial, and you'll actually see how a project goes from its initial state to the ending ones, and how Git comes into play in that. So then comes the collaboration part. We'll actually not be discussing that in this particular video. It will be in the next one where we discuss some more advanced features, the branches, merging, and collaborating in a team. So that is where you, so that's the feature where Git basically allows multiple people to work on a single project and allow them to make changes and keeps track of that, and you can revert your changes as well. So because of all those features, you can easily collaborate on Git. So it's a lot more optimized, a lot more efficient to use Git instead of actually giving files to other people by zipping them and sending them over email or even giving them over a USB drive. So let's move forward. So what exactly is GitHub? GitHub is essentially just a website which gives you a user interface, a GUI for using Git. So its engine, basically the driving force behind GitHub is Git, and it allows you to use all the functionalities provided by Git through a user interface, because Git itself is a command line tool. You can only use that by typing in commands on the keyboard in your terminal with your command prompt. But with GitHub, you can do all of that using a user interface as well. In this particular video, we'll be actually using a combination of both, which is usually preferred by programmers as well, as per my experience. And you can also create repositories online through GitHub as well. So the major concepts that we'll be discussing in this video and the one that follows after, which will be discussing the advanced features of Git and GitHub, would include the repositories, what exactly those are, how you can create one, and what exactly is the difference between a repository and a folder, what are commits, what's branching and merging. Branching and merging actually is there for the next tutorial video, where we'll discuss how you can collaborate within a team using Git and GitHub. So what exactly is a repository? In layman terms, you can just say that a repository is essentially just a folder. So whenever you are working on a new website or a new project, you basically start with creating a new folder on your local computer. So it's actually just a folder, but unlike a normal folder where you changes that any file that you add, any changes you make in any of those files is not tracked, repository just adds that functionality to it. So if you turn a folder into a repository, any change that you make in any of the files within that repository, within that folder, would be tracked by Git. And it's done by a single .git file, which is very small, but all it does is just track the changes made by people working on that project. And the repositories can be both local and remote. The local repositories are the ones that are only present on your local system, and the remote ones are those which you host on an online server. In our case, we'll be using GitHub to host our remote repositories. So if you already have Git installed on your local computer, that's perfect. If you do not, you can just click on this link, and it's actually added in the description as well. It will route you to this page where you can select your operating system and install Git on that. So the next stage is logging into GitHub, and let's create our first repository. So if you go to github.com, this is the page that you see. If you do not have an account already, you can sign up. It's very simple. You just have to give your basic information and then just create your account. Since I already have one, so I just sign in. Alright, so the user interface of GitHub is actually pretty simple. These are the repositories that you created. These are the teams or the project groups, for instance, that you are a part of. You can see your notification from here. Pull request issues, marketplaces flow. We can discuss that we will be discussing that in the second video. And if you want to search for an open source project which is of your interest, let's say for instance I want to see popular projects on object detection, for instance. I'll just type in object detection over here, hit enter, and all the people who have uploaded their public repositories on GitHub about object detection would come in the search bar. So to add a repository, there are two options. You can either click over here, this plus icon, and you can create your new repository from over here, or you can just click new from here. So let's do that. I'm going to name my repository test. You can add a description to your repository as well. If you want to tell people what exactly is this repository about, where I'm just going to leave that blank. And you can select whether you want a public repository or the private one. Public is the one that anywhere in the world can actually search or see the contents of the repository. That is, if your repository is basically open source. But if you're working on a private project or you're working for a client on a project, it's highly recommended to keep your repository private. But this one's just for demo purposes, so I'm just keeping it public for now. And then you can add a README file. This is really for documenting how to run your project and what exactly is the project about. You can just write everything related to that in the README file. And then there's the git ignore file. You can add it as well. So let me explain a use case of the git ignore file. So let's say if you're developing web application using Stack and you're using a lot of node modules, but you do not really want to track them or upload them to your GitHub repository. So you can just select a template. This is the node template, add that, and it will not keep track of those node modules. So you can also manually add items to this particular file, the git ignore file, like you just have to add the files which you do not want to track, and it skips those basically. So let's click on create. Alright, so our repository has been created. Let's jump back to the slides for a while. So let's talk about commits. Commits are essentially snapshots of your project in different states. So let's say if you're working on a specific feature on your website, let's say you develop the navigation bar and you want to commit that. That's a separate feature in your, or a separate component in your website. So it would be isolated from all the other commits. So if you ever want to just remove the navigation bar, you just remove that commit and it will be gone. So that's what a commit really is in your repository. And then you can also see the changes in your repositories by using this command git log. So before we start using these git commands, let's first clone our repository into our local system, and then we can go from there. So to clone that, you just click over here, copy this link, and go to your terminal. The command is git space clone space, and then you paste that link over here. Okay, so our repository has been cloned. Its name was test. So let's move into that folder, cd test, and we are inside our repository. So if we click on git log over here, we should see this first commit, initial commit, which was made 2 minutes ago in here. So there you go, the initial commit. That's the point where the head is pointing at the time being. So let's open our repository in text editor and make some changes in that. This is the test repository. Let's open this. And in the test, in the README file, I'm going to add this is a test repository. Let's save that. And if you do git status, you can see that a file has been modified and the file's name is readme.md. Right now I've only modified one file. If you change multiple files, you will see a lot of these statements and it will tell you which files have been changed. So let me commit this change. For that, first I would have to add it to the staging area. It's basically using Git as just a series of commands, 3 to 4 basically. You first add your changes to the staging area, and then you commit them to your local repository, and then you push them to your remote repository on GitHub. So it's essentially just 3 commands which do the job for you. So when you're staging your commits to the when you're adding commits to the staging area, you can either use git add space dot, which will add all the files which have been changed to your staging area. And if you are not interested in that, and if you just want to commit a particular file, then you can just add the name of that file over there. So our file's name was readme.md. So let's add that to the staging area, and it has been added. Now let's commit that file, git commit -m. I updated So this is the command for that: git commit space -m, and then you have to type in the message for that particular commit. Typing in a message for a commit is actually very important, because when you're working on a project with multiple people, it's really important that you tell them what exactly is present in that commit. What changes did you really make? So our commit has been added, and now we want to push it to the remote repository, which is on GitHub, this one. So right now if you refresh, you would not see this commit over here because it has not been pushed to the remote repository. So before doing that, if you are new to Git, you most likely would not have connected your account to your GitHub account to your terminal. So you can check that by using this command: git config --global and user.name. So this is the username which is connected with my terminal for right now, and you can also check the email. And, yeah, so my account is right now connected, but if yours isn't, when you run the next command, which is git push origin master, when you run this command, if your account's not connected, it will ask you for the credentials for that. So to verify that your push was successful, you can just refresh this page, and over there you can see our file readme.md has been changed, and the change that we had made in this, this is the test repository that's actually added, has been reflected on our remote repository as well. So let's go back to our slides. We've seen the git log command, with which we can see the history of all the commits. So this is how the commits basically look like. This was your first commit add fruit.php function, then you add another commit on top of that and another commit. So let's say this was your latest commit. This is where the head would be pointing at. If you want to remove this commit, whatever was added in this, like whatever file changes or new files were added, and you just want to revert back to this particular state of your project, you can use the git reset command, which we will discuss in the next part of this video. And then there's a git status command, which you can use to see which files in your system in your project have been changed. So let's actually try both of these. Let's clear this first. So git log, with this you can see all the commits that you made. This was the first one, initial commit, and then the updated the readme file. And this is where the head is currently pointing at. That's what we discussed while going over this graph. So let's go back to git status. Let's actually try that git status. So it says nothing to commit, working tree clean, and your branch is up to date with origin master. This basically means that what you have on your remote repository and what you have in your working directory are exactly in sync. No changes have been made to the file either on the remote one or the local one. So you don't need to push any changes that you made, neither do you have to pull any changes that have been made by any other member of your project. So these are the commands that we used to commit our own work. We first used the git add command, where if we use a dot over here, it basically added all the files that are being modified to the staging area. But if we wanted to add a particular file, we could have just added the name of the file over here. And then we commit those files using this command, where over here we type in the message that we want to be displayed with the commit. Like over here you can see this one, the initial commit, the message shown with it is initial commit, and then for this one it's updated the readme file. So this message needs to be meaningful, so that if there are other people working on your project, they can know what exactly is the content of this commit. Like what changes did you really push while you were making this commit. So now that we've gone through most of the basic commands which you need to upload your project on Git and continue to commit and push changes to your remote repository, you can actually just view this flowchart to just summarize all of that. So working directory is the project folder that you have on your local computer. If you want to add certain changes to the staging area, you just use the git add command and to get to the staging area. And then when you are sure that you want to commit those changes to your local repository tracked by Git, you use the git commit command, and your local repository gets updated. Now, if you want to sync your local repository with your remote repository, you use the git push command. So that's basically you pushing all the changes you've made in your local repository onto the remote repository. And then this part of the flowchart comes in handy when you're working with multiple people. So let's say you work on a project today and you push some changes onto the remote repository. But then for the next 7 days you don't do any work, but there are other people working on the project and they develop some features and they push that onto the remote repository. And 7 days later, when you come back, you would want that whatever changes that they have made to the project, your working directory is in sync with them before you start working or working on the next set of features. So for that, you first have to fetch and merge those changes in your working directory. And once you're done, you can then continue to build on that project. So that was it for this tutorial. And the next one, we're going to talk about using Git in a team when you're working with multiple people, be it fellow developers, fellow project mates, whatever. And then we'll also talk about GUI tools like GitHub Desktop or Gitkraken, whichever one you prefer. So all the commands are typed in on command line for like committing our changes or for pushing our changes to the remote repository. All of those can be done through clicks of buttons using these softwares. And then we'll talk about Git branches and Git merge, which usually come in handy when you are working in a team. So there are orders for this particular part of the video, and we'll discuss in the next one. And we'll also talk about open source and what opportunities you can grab by using Git and GitHub for your open source contributions. And we'll also talk about resetting commits, which is related to working in teams as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any doubts, any suggestions or feedback, you can drop that in the comment section. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Have a good day.